Hi girls, I thought I would show you how to do some of these longer word problems. I'm on the top of page 13 of the booklet. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have each question number, and in the description I'll put the times when each question starts so that you can know what to skip ahead to if you don't want to watch this whole video. But I'll start with question 9. This was a worked example in class, but I'll do it again just in case you didn't get it in class and you'd like another explanation. So, Maria is buying a new set of golf clubs. The clubs are marked at $950, but if Maria pays cash, the shop will take a 10% off the marked price. How much will the clubs cost? Okay, so what I'm going to say is the discount for this one, if she pays cash, is 10% of the marked price. So if you take out your highlighters, okay, that's really important. Now, as we know, 10% can also be written as 0.1 because you just move the decimal places 2 places to the left to convert from a percentage to a decimal. And because it's 10% off the marked price, let's just work out what 10% is of the marked price. So 10% of the marked price, that's the word that we wanted in there. And as we know, 10% of means times, and the marked price was $950. So that's 0.1 times 950. And if you go ahead and put that in your calculator, okay, you should get 95. So in my calculator, 0.1 times 950, you get 95. Okay. Now that's just a discount. The golf clubs cost $950, okay, and you get a $95 discount. So the amount that she will pay, or the cost, if she pays cash, okay, that's going to be equal to 950 minus 95. So I'm taking off the discount there, and that should give you, you can use your calculator again, you should get 855. 950 minus 95 is 855. Okay. So that's what she'll pay for that one. Okay, I'm moving on to the next question, and the next question is question 10. Okay, let me just fold this paper so I don't waste any. Okay, let's see. 30% of residents in the Shire of Borondura are over the age of 65. If there are 180,000 residents, how many are over the age of 65? So what you probably want to do is you probably want to highlight that over there. Okay, because that tells you the equation you're going to need. You are going to need 30% of the residents. Okay. Now, what is this? These are the residents that are over 65. So over 65 equals 30% of the residents. Now let's convert this into something with numbers. 30% we can write as 0.3 because you move the decimal 2 places to the left. Of means times again, and the residents, well, there were 180,000, so I can swap that with 180,000. If you put that in your calculator, 0.3 times 180, 123. So 0.3 times 180,000, you get 54,000. So 54,000 residents are over 65. Okay, that's question 10. Let's move on to question 11. Okay. If Jay is buying a new lounge suite worth $2,150, Jay has to leave a 15% deposit and then pay the balance in monthly installments. So some people don't know what a deposit is. A deposit is just when you buy something and you take out a loan, you have to put some amount of money down for that items to show them that you're serious in buying it. So he's buying this lounge, he has to put 15% down. Okay, so he's going to have to pay some percentage of it, just to show the people that he's serious about buying the couch. Okay. Anyway, he has to leave a 15% deposit. How much deposit does he have to pay? Well, he has to do 15% of the cost, doesn't he? The cost of the item. Okay. Now, 15% of the cost, well, the cost is 2,150. So converting 15% to a decimal is 0.15 times by 2,150, and this is quite easy. 0.15 times 2,150 equals, that's 322.5. Okay, so this equals 322.5, and this is in dollars. By the way, what is equal to all of this? Well, this is a deposit he must pay. Okay, that's question 11 done. Let's move on to question 12. "90% of students in a school were present for photographs. If the school has 1,100 students, how many were absent on the day the photographs were taken?" Well, for this question, we know that 90% are present. Okay, but we are not asked how many students were present. We, in fact, were asked how many were absent. So what percentage do you think were absent? Well, if 90% were present, then 10% of students were absent. So they didn't tell us that, but we could work it out quite easily. If 10% of the students were absent, well, the number that were absent, so I'm going to write here, number absent equals 10% of 1,100. 10% is the same as a 0.1. Of means times 1,100. And so here you get 0.1 times 1,100, and you get 110. Okay. That's question 12. Lastly, question 13. Question 13 requires you to think a bit, but it's also quite easy. Okay. I'm going to get my highlights out again so we can highlight some keywords. Now, Jay can swim 50 meters in 31 seconds. If he improves his time by 10%, what will James' time be for 50 meters? Okay. He improves his time by 10%. So let's work out what 10% of 31 is. Okay. So 10% of 31, well, that's going to be equal to 0.1 times 31, which is equal to 3.1. Now, if he improves his time by 10%, will it be 3.5 seconds more? It will take him 3.5 seconds longer to do the swim, or will it be 3.1 seconds less? Well, obviously it would be 3.1 seconds less. So the time is going to be 31 minus 3.1. Because the shorter your time is, the better it is. And it said the improvement. Okay, so that's why we've got this minus here. Get your calculator out, 31 minus 3.1, and you get 27.9. So 27.9 seconds. Okay, that's that one done. I told you to leave out question 18, and question 19 we did in class, so I'm actually going to skip that one. Okay. Question 25. Now this one has quite a few steps, but they should all be easy enough. Okay. Question 25. Right. Broadcasting regulations specify that 55% of TV programs shown between 6 p.m. and midnight must be Australian, and that between 6 p.m. and midnight, there should be no more than 13 minutes per hour of advertising. Okay? So, let's start by, this is important, no more than 13 minutes per hour of advertising. Okay? And I think this percentage here is also important. Okay? So 55% of television programs must be Australian. And then there's also between 6 p.m. and midnight. Okay? I'm not going to highlight that. I'm just going to highlight those three sections. Okay? Let's start with question 23, part A. How many minutes of advertising are allowed between 6 p.m. and midnight? Well, we're allowed 13 minutes per hour, but we don't have 1 hour between 6 p.m. and midnight. We actually have 6 hours. Okay? So the number of advertising minutes, well, that is going to be equal to 6 times by 13. The reason it's 6 is because there's 6 hours between 6 p.m. and midnight. And the reason I've said 13 is because they told me 13 minutes of advertising per hour. Okay. If you take out 6 times 13, you should get 79. 6 times 13, 78. Okay. So 78 minutes. Part B says, for how many minutes are programs screened between 6 p.m. and midnight? Well, they didn't say Australian programs, they said just programs. So to work out how many minutes are scheduled, we just have to subtract the total number of minutes in 6 hours, and we need to subtract 78 because that's adverts. Okay. So let's work out what is 60 times by 6. That's how many minutes between midnight and 6 p.m. And then we obviously have to subtract 78 for that one. Okay. What is all of this? This over here is the program screen time. Okay. I'll first work out 60 times 6, and you get 360 minus 78. And so 360 minus 78, in your calculator, you get 282. Question C. What is the maximum percent time spent screening advertising? Okay. Now, if it's 13 minutes per hour, you can work out 13 divided by 60, gives you a percentage, times by 100. Or you could say, hang on, if there's 78 minutes in 6 hours, then I'll take 78 minutes divided by the number of minutes in 6 hours, and then times 100. So there's two ways to do it. I prefer doing it the first way. Okay? It says there no more than 13 minutes per hour. So to get a percentage of screen time, you would say, well, I know the fraction of that is 13 over 60 because there's 13 minutes is advertising in every hour, and there's 60 minutes in an hour. So for example, let's say they were doing 30 minutes per hour, then that would mean it's 50% of the screen time, wouldn't it? So 30 divided by 60 is a half. That's 50%. But we don't have 30 minutes in this case, we have 13 minutes. That's why I've put 13 over 60. So you put the number of minutes that you have divided by the number of minutes in total. Okay? And then to turn it into percentage, you times by 100%. Okay? Now to do this into your calculator, when you see 13 over 60, you're going to put 13 divided by 60. And as a decimal, you get 0.216 reoccurring times by 100%. Okay, and then to times that by 100, you just go times by 100, and you get 21.6 reoccurring. So 21.6 reoccurring percent. Okay, that's part C. And then finally, we've got part D. How many minutes of Australian content must be screened between 6 p.m. and midnight? Well, they told us it must be 15% of the time, or 55% of the time. So, if it's 15% of the time, or 55% of the time, then I'm probably going to write 55% of 6 hours. Okay, changing that into math speak, that's 0.55 times by 6 hours. 0.55 times 6, you get 3.3. So that becomes 3.3 hours. Okay, that's part D for you. And then the last part that we've got to do is number 24. Okay. Number 24, in a maths competition, the top 8% of students across the state achieve a score of 40%. Achieve a score of 40% or more out of 50. Now, part A. In a school where 175 students are entered into the maths competition, how many scores of more than 40 would be expected? Well, 8% of the kids should get it, so I probably should get 8% of 175. That's how many I would expect. So, 8% of 175, that's the same as 0.08 times by 175. Okay, and that gives you 0.08 times by 175, and you should get about 14 children. Okay. For part B, we have to ask ourselves, in one school, there were 17 scores of 40 or more, and 204 scores that were less than 40. Did the students perform better than the state average? So whenever you work out a percentage, work out what fraction did better, and then times that fraction by 100. So what fraction got more than 40 for their test? Well, 17 out of 204. So the fraction that got it was 17 over 204. 17 out of 204 got it. And then to change that into percentage, you times by 100%. Okay. So let's work that out. 17 divided by 204 equals, and then times that by 100. And I got 8.3 reoccurring. So that is equal to 8.3 reoccurring percent. If 8.3% got better than 40, that means that they did better than the state average, which was just 8%. So right at the end, you can say, therefore, they did better at this school. Okay, and there we go.